Hello, SuperCoach community and Luke Beveridge, who we know listens to the SuperCoach. Well, this is the Phantom speaking. Welcome back to the Phantom's Lair podcast post round 17 edition of the show. We've just finished the first best 22 scoring week after the dreaded buys. I'm feeling better about things. No ice cream, no popcorn this week. And the good news is, everyone out there, the Chief, Hayden Doss-Kenny, back in the Lair, back to bottom of the pod as we love it to see.
Yep.
King of Bop. Welcome.
Of Bop. Back where I
belong,
I suppose. I suppose so. Oh, devastating.
He had a
times.
mare too, didn't he? He had a mare.
I had a bit of a mare, but I think
on the trade front.
Yeah. Most devastatingly though, the great man who's not here.
Yep.
Top of the pod.
5 names: Simeon Kingsley, Thomas Wilson, somewhere in Europe, and we will give him a call unannounced shortly. Top of the pod this week.
Yep.
Haven't heard much from him in the last 24 hours, so could be anywhere on the other side of the world.
Yeah, no idea. Haven't heard from him. I think he flew off on the Sunday, was it?
Yep.
Sort of during those games. So he probably doesn't even, he might not even know he's top of the pod. So yeah, hopefully touch base with him soon if he does answer Fance. But
looking forward to hearing what he has to say. Hopefully he does.
Hopefully he does. Back to best 22 though. And how did you go?
Oh, it was good to see. And I told you last week I would be top of the pod. What didn't quite get, they didn't have a great week, but 2-3-4-2 for me, middle of the pod. And that's my floor at the moment. The team, as I said, I'm still very happy with it. Some poor premium scores. There's some we called out for People's Pan recommendation and nominations last week. Got a few. One I'll just mention now. We'll mention the rest of them later on the show, and we'll confirm who is in the People's Pan this week. Said, can we stop using the word premiums and just call them keepers, given some of the scores had on the weekend?
I think that's a fair call. And keepers, you could even use that term lightly. It's not someone you might want to necessarily keep, but we have to at this stage of the year. I
moved up 47 spots, so just hovering there on about bang average for the top 1%.
Yep. So we spoke about Simeon.
Yep.
5 names. He scored a quality score as well. So, but the three of us were within. The three of us were within like 40 points. I think it was less. I think it was in the 30s. So I scored 23-21 to be Bop.
Yep. King of Bop.
What was your score again?
2-3-4-2.
And Sim scored 2-3-5-9 to be top of the pod.
Yep.
So really close here. I'll just go over Sim as well. Top of the pod, 2-3-5-9. Overall rank of 5,815.
Yep.
So doing all right. Old 5 names. Well done. Enjoy your holiday. Hopefully back to Bop next week though. I think we can agree on that, Fans.
Yep.
Where was your rank, sorry, again?
2919.
Okay.
So it didn't move up much, but a few points back on you.
So still top of the pod overall. 2-4-5-9 after my score on the weekend. So pretty happy with that, but let's get to Fans, our heroes and villains. My hero for the week, Fans, brought him in this week, Errol Goulden for the Swans, 122. Great to see him back on the park. Took a risk on a point of difference. We can maybe talk about my trades a bit later that I did pull off.
Well, I think you know your villain. Must be the other trade. Surely. What is it?
It's not the other trade. I did bring in Sam Flanders.
Oh,
I had to back him in. Had to back him in. A bit of a pew-pew.
The ego got in the way there, didn't it?
Bit of one of these bad boys. Had to go there. Sam Flanders, 76. I'm not giving him my villain, though. I'm going to go with a little bit of a different one. And we've got his bobblehead here. Jason Horne-Francis, yet again.
Oof, you weren't happy.
Letting us down. No, I was saying might need to stint in the sample. I think it was about halfway through the third, fought back hard to get a 78, but just not been worth the hold at this stage. So
-9 1 point in the first quarter.
Giving it to our man
the horny one
for this week, and I'm hoping he bounces back.
Scored 80 roughly
villain,
in 3 quarters.
It's my villain still.
In the -9 or whatever it was.
Al
-4 at quarter time.
Al, who faded him for most of the year, then brought him in at his worst point, traded him back out, brought him back in. I don't know what he was in real struggle town, seeing that -8 or whatever it was.
Yep.
Vance, who have you got for
my hero this week? A little different take.
Okay.
Now, we do bring this guy down a bit.
Yep.
In the Lair and generally in Supercoach, but the hero of the week, almost brought a tear to my eye watching on Thursday night. Luke Beveridge. Bevo is the hero of the week. Yes. He had a little smirk on his face when he mentioned the Supercoach community. I think you've got it there, but he moved Bailey Dale back and he thought of us post-match.
To put Bailey Dale in different positions, it was to stabilise our back six. And, yeah, Bailey, Digger Dale had a different game. It was not a prolific high possession game, so the Supercoach community will be hard on me again. But in the end, I thought it worked for us, definitely behind the ball.
Now, if you are just listening, said with a big smile on his face as well. He obviously does listen to us.
Shout out.
Yep. We know we talk about his magnet moving and how he's ruined Supercoach over the years, but he's listening. So Bevo is in the hero category this week.
This is probably the year we've been least harsh on. I would have said, Bevo. Yeah. We've been pretty kind to Bevo this year. He's been kind to us as well until.
I'm calling a stop. No more, just for right now.
Yep.
No more Bevo negativity.
Okay.
He's the hero of the week.
The hero. Well, who's your villain then?
No, I've had enough. Bevo is the villain of the week. Move Digger Dale. What's he doing?
No.
65 Supercoach points. Yes, he mentioned it, but that was enough.
Yep.
Bailey Dale playing on a wing, playing up forward, had to reshuffle there with the laid out.
Yep.
Kicked a couple of goals, was pretty good. Hopefully not good enough. Hopefully goes back behind the ball. But Bevo, come on.
So he's your hero.
We do love you. He's my hero and my villain. That probably sums up the Supercoach relationship with Bevo. But shout out to him. He might be listening.
Definitely will be.
So we love the Supercoach mention, but just get Digger back.
All right. Now, fans, I wanted to talk about some players now. Just give a shout out to those who are owners of these players. We might not be owners. That's why we don't mention them in our heroes section, but just some players running hot at the moment and that have been really firing people up the rankings as well. So, players on fire.
Dan Flanders?
It's not Dan Flanders, unfortunately. Last 5 average. This is the top 5 that we've got. Now, this guy, unbelievably 3% owned. I talked about him.
There's one reason for this segment.
I talked about him. He was
We got the clip.
He was my pew. I want to say 5 weeks ago.
Yep, we can.
I don't have the clip.
Just on the pew.
Yeah.
With some taking inspiration from the show somewhere else with the pew.
I reckon we wait a little bit later for that.
Ooh.
And that will be a
mention.
In the pan? Brodie Grundy, 3% owned, 127 again on the weekend. He had about 62 at quarter time.
On fire.
This guy's on fire. 156 in his last 5. He's just been incredible. It's back to vintage Grundy again, fans. And if you are one of the 3%, I mean, he's the most expensive player in Supercoach now. He had 179 just last week as well. I mean, he's just been an incredible own for anyone that jumped on. And if you did, go sideways from maybe a Max Gawn a few weeks ago, I don't know if that was necessarily the move, but if you have him as a flex, I don't know, people would be absolutely rising up the rankings based off Brodie Grundy, the most informed player in the comp.
You say vintage Grundy, he could be playing even better than he did in his heyday at Collingwood.
Career best Grundy.
Best Grundy.
Oof. Don't mind that.
Could you go there? 717K? More for later, but that's this week. Could you do it? 3.3% of teams.
That's expensive.
You need a pod.
More on that later by the sounds. Nazaya Wanganeen Miller is number 2. Number 2.
Unbelievable. He was.
155 on the weekend from over 40 disposals. 126.6 in his last 5, Phantom.
Sam Mitchell post-game said he had nightmares. He's going to have nightmares about Naz. Planned all week, different scenarios, different situations, or different things to stop him. Couldn't do it. But
I have nightmares at the moment. Him not in my team at the moment.
Swans this week. Yep. James Jordan clamped down on Caleb Sarong. Surely.
You reckon
James Jordan plays on Naz.
Okay.
Has to.
Keep an eye on that. What a game, though. 155 owners would be incredibly happy with that. I considered jumping on him this week, and I didn't. But hopefully, for me, I'm hoping for that tag just to soften the blow a bit this week.
Your almost team would be 500 points clear.
It would be.
You would have spent the 50K. Your almost
easily. Nick Dacos, 3rd, 127 on the weekend, 125 in his last 5.
Bang.
3rd back in most form in the comp. He's back over 600K now after dropping as low as 535K in round 12-13 when he would have been in the Phantoms top targets, of course.
Oh, yep.
4th most informed player, Max Holmes, who I reckon coaches would have been pretty disappointed that he didn't go even bigger on the weekend. Just a flat 100. We're hoping for a big one against Richmond, so ended up with just 100 flat. 125 in his last 5, though, so would have been expecting that big spike score. Unfortunately, didn't get going early enough to really get the score
Burnt
up.
it, 58%. Kicking was down as well.
Could he cop some attention on the run home as well? They've got teams like GWS, Saints, North have been deploying a little bit of attention on the run home. But yeah, he's generally been just an incredible player, 4th most informed player. And then Zach Butters, some familiar names in the top 5 here. 113 on the weekend, 122 in his last 5. Just doing Butters things.
Yep. Home against the Eagles as well this week. The power.
Yep.
Lay down Mazaire C option. And I've got absolute Monty VC option 2 coming up.
Okay.
Like, lock it in. Biggest, best, absolute 100% VC option of the year.
Yep. Now, we switched up the Lairs, changing a bit of our structure. But we're going to go through a bit of a rankings update because we want to see who's competing right at the top end. And not just in the Lair League that we do really love in the Lair.
Yep.
But the overall ranking. So the overall leader right now is Hawk Baby. They've got 38,251 points. Second overall, called Absolutely Washed, a bit like old Dossie's team at the moment. 38,242. So we've got 9 points separating 1 and 2 at the moment. It's a hot race at the top, fans, going for overall that 50K. The race to 50K is starting to heat up. Now, looking at the other in the top 5 teams here as well. Now, from second to third, we dropped down another 204 points. So, a few little captain options away, a few little maybe moves if you've got a few trades up your sleeves. But that's Birdie's boy, 204 points down there. And then another 232 points from the leader is Pick Fall.
Yep. Yeah, I'm just looking at Pick Fall's team, Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
Does have the best VC option of the round in his team. The other 3 above him don't. So this could be his week. So hopefully he's listening.
And then 5th overall is W. So they've got 308 points.
Oh, wait, Hawk Baby's got him. Number 1's got him too. So.
Okay, so anyway, it's still very tight up the top. We don't have a clear, 9 points. That's at this stage in the year. I want to say last year we had a bit of a buffer at this time. I'd have to go back and look. But memory serves that there was quite a little bit of a difference there. Obviously, Jovan came home with a wet sail, came home steaming home. So just a bit of a look there. We'll keep up to date over the next few weeks as to how that's tracking. But overall leader at the moment, Hawk Baby. Now, overall leader in the Lair League, Phantom, the Neil Deal. Josh, 8th overall. So
Come on, Josh.
We're wishing Josh all the best there. 343 points back. So maybe some of those VCCs, hopefully in your team as well, that Fance will talk about in a bit.
Doesn't have the big best VC option this week.
Oh, well.
But does have Locke Whitfield to come back in.
Now, the only coach inside the top 10 at the moment in the Lair League is Josh. So we have 8 coaches, though, ranked between 11 and 20, and 34 coaches in the top 100. Of course, the Lair League can't join anymore. We shut that down around the buys, but we do have a little prize pack for the winner there.
And it's looking good too.
It's looking pretty good. Very nice.
Yep, well played. Now, the big week of SuperCoach news.
It is.
Some big news through us. We mentioned Bailey Dale.
Yeah.
But there's a few things that, ongoing storylines now that will affect what we do this week. You might not be trading, but what have you got as cover-wise? Are you looping? We've got a new segment. With a name from our friend, I can't remember who it was, we'll go back to it, on X.
Yep.
What's the Goss with Doss? And you loved it.
Doss, I loved it. It's perfect for the news segment. We've been asking for a segment name.
You fancy yourself was a bit of a news break, so what have you got?
What a perfect segment. Well, we got to touch on Bailey Smith.
Yeah.
What a crazy turn of events, obviously coming through. Bailey Smith, there was word Mitch Cleary tweeted out, could he be out on Saturday? That was just out of nowhere. Bailey Smith in doubt.
Yep.
Then it came through, of course, he was going to be laid out, just throwing it into turmoil. Everyone was relying on that bench emergency. Maybe some people traded as well just to make sure they had a team on the park. What did you end up doing for you, and how did your emergency go there? I'm guessing you didn't trade.
And what is it? Is it illness? The third was illness. There's word that is it a calf injury? So just quickly, we've got the people's pan later, but just quickly, Chris Scott in the pan. Chris Scott and Geelong again for the Bailey Smith issue. Just a quick pan there. Let you pat it out, but just on the edge there on the pan. We've got the people's pan coming up later, but Chris Scott in the Phantom fry pan just quickly for that. But Bailey Smith, I did weigh up a move.
Wow.
Only 2 trades. Thought, no, better off not doing it. Didn't have any cover. Not a great week for Manny Liddy to be dropped.
Yeah.
Sam Butler to be injured. Thought my forward cover was looking okay. But I won't say, I'm not going to swear this week, but, thankfully we do have flex.
We do.
Otherwise.
So you ran 1 short this week?
Had 22 scoring.
Yeah.
Just ran 1 short. If we didn't have flex, if this was last year in SuperCoach, this is when you could be tempted to trade. And a lot of SuperCoaches would have been tempted into trading, but yes, you might have got a lower score than you would have if Bailey Smith played, but you weren't taking a 0.
Yeah, and that's good. I mean, it worked out fine for you in the end. Your score didn't hurt. Obviously, you still scored around sort of that par ranking as to where we are all kind of ranked at the moment here. But yeah, I mean, it did throw the SuperCoach world into chaos. It's just not what we want at this time of year, especially Bailey Smith against Richmond was a captain option for everyone. Everyone was eyeing him off. If you had a failed pick earlier in the round for your VC, you were relying on him as your captain. So hopefully you found a different option there. The other big news, because he's still 20% owned heading into this round, was Matt Roberts named the sub.
Yep.
By Dean Cox.
Got a few messages about that as well from Roberts holders. They weren't happy. Dean Cox, he can get in the pan alongside Chris Scott too. What is he doing? The pan is full.
The busy pan today. But yeah, that threw again people that still own him. I mean, we jumped off a long time ago, but you do feel for people that still had him around. We've already mentioned Bevo, Bailey Dale playing forward. That was a bit annoying for all coaches here. Then there was also just a couple of injuries on the weekend too. Some popular-ish players, not super highly owned, but a Jye Caldwell for me. We're going to have to keep an eye on the news there. So that looks like an ankle. Don't know the severity just yet.
No.
But obviously, HBF injury report on Wednesday. We'll get the full details off hours away, but we'll get the full details off Patch, Chloe and crew on the Wednesday.
Hours away, just the horny one score just tipped him over the edge.
I think so. But speaking of another power player, I mean, a lot of us started with him this year. Unfortunately, Sam Powell-Pepper out for the season with the ACL. So just wishing him all the best. He was a SuperCoach star early in the season, made a heap of cash for owners and, just in a football sense, very devastating to see him go down.
Back to the Leeds story, though. Paddy Dangerfield, his teammate, said on radio this morning, Monday morning, about Bailey Smith. I'm sure he'll be back on the park this week, was his quote.
Okay. So another 1 weeker. Hopefully he's all good and back. And Dante Vicentini probably was the only one. If anyone still had him, rolling with him, also went down.
Yep. DPPs. What? Now, I missed that. Obviously.
You missed the DPPs?
I saw a few, but.
Keeping up, fans? Or?
Well, the bloke you're waiting for, this spot last week, Sam Doherty. Were there any other DPPs to seriously consider? Any surprises? Will Ashcroft pop up? Anyone pop up?
This is worthy of another little sting. Because this is breaking news.
And, got something for me.
The Goss with Doss.
Ooh.
Sam Doherty did get defensive status. Needed that from Doc.
Do you get his score in the VFL this week?
Well, I might have to see if I can adjust that. But honestly, not many other relevant names. Maybe some in draft. So just a couple of other names I won't even mention. So Bailey Banfield, Ocean Mullen, Mitch Duncan, Toby Pink, Aaron Francis, Tim Kelly, Bailey J. Williams.
All the big names.
Added some form of status. You can go check out what status they got. But yeah, I don't really think any of them are relevant. Maybe like a Mitch Duncan, even though he was the sub on the weekend, didn't even get used, I don't think.
Don't play VFL on Sunday.
No, but he just added mid status, so he already had defensive anyway. I don't really think anyone else is relevant apart from Doc. But fans, we've got another new segment, which I'm pretty keen to do. We sort of trialled it last week with our power rankings of trade outs, but this
good segment.
Yeah,
and just quickly, before you do that though, good segment last week. Tom Liberatore featured in that, was heavily traded out before the show last week. We said, keep him. Put him in the bottom of the trade out power rankings, 171.
Yep.
So, yeah, hopefully they're thanking us out there. Jeez.
Now, it's been a while since we've done Rage Trades fans, but this is building on that
different.
concept from last week, our trade out power rankings. Now, I think I saw the Supercoach Swordplay crew, who do some great content on YouTube, use this sort of tier making system in some of their content. I thought we could use it for this trade out power ranking. So in our Rage Trade segment, you're going to talk about some options to bring in later on, but these are players that, you know, most of our teams are pretty much complete, as we said, inverted commas. We've only got these keepers rather than some of these premiums. So maybe we can trade some of these guys out, but we're going to tier them. And I've got a list here, different categories. So for the audio listeners, if you want to watch this on Code Sports YouTube, you can see us
you should do it.
work through here.
Even just this segment.
But we'll make it audio friendly as well.
Yep.
We've got must trade is one of the categories. Trade if you can. The next one is on thin ice. So not performing up to scratch, looking to trade as well. They're not quite at trade if you can, but if they do another bad performance, they're out. Then we've got luxury trade. So you aren't really pulling the trigger on a luxury trade unless you got, 4 or 5 trades still left in the bank. And then the final one, of course, hold. We don't think you should be trading these people. Now, as you said earlier, Libba last week, we had him as a hold, popped to 171. Now, pat on the back to us there, fans. But let's go through the categories. This week,
we'll be putting these players into the categories.
We will be, yes. So we've got 12 names this week, okay?
Some good names too.
Some good names. So these are the players that are, at the moment, the most traded out, and that in that sort of 400 plus K category as well. We got Matt Roberts, okay? Shea Bolton, TDK, Bailey Smith, LDU, Adam Chera, Caleb Daniel, Clayton Oliver, Dion Prestia, Jye Caldwell, Patrick Cripps, and Caleb Sarong. We're going to go through these, and we are going to put them into some categories.
Oh, man, Caleb.
So I think we can start out again. We had this guy in last week as a trade, and he was our number 1 trade out option. Can we comfortably put Matt Roberts as a must trade at the moment?
Have to now.
After
as a sub, put him in there.
Put him in there. Who do you want to go next? Because Shea Bolton, I reckon, was probably up there with our top 3 last week. He had a poor start, but came home strong. I think he had about 12 or something. Or not, he was under 20 points at half time. Came home all right, but he's here trade if you. I feel like he's a trade if you can.
It's all very team dependent.
It is.
So it probably fits there. If you don't have any other issues, if some options that you can get around the same price, or you've bringing in a Colvin McKercher or a Callum Mills or something, using your flex, then maybe it fits in that category. Not an absolute must trade because we know he can pop out a big score, and we know with flex, if he does put out a disappointing score on a full keeper team, premium team, he might not count. So again, trade if you can, but not a must trade.
Yep. I think there was a sequence where he had 5 disposals in literally one sequence of play as well. So can get hot. And as you said, those guys that can hit the ceilings, you don't mind them in this flex setup, but does have those basement scores. How about TDK? Ooh. Now, for those that don't know, I pulled the trigger last week. I traded TDK and Chera, who's also in this list. Why don't we group them both here and where they fit for you? I obviously traded last week. I saw TDK named at centre half forward to start the game.
And we warmed up with the forward as well, kicking goals too.
Started hot, by the way. I think he had about 36 at quarter time, and I was like, oh boy, what have I done?
You panicked.
I panicked. Didn't finish strong. What did he score in the end? It was only
66.
66.
Only had 11 touches, 12 hit-outs. Mark Pitner had 33 hit-outs, 17 touches.
Now, do we group this like we did last week? If Pitnet's named versus if Pitnet's not named? Because that's what we did last week. I had him 3rd, I think, overall last week if Pitnet was named.
Well, are the Blues just getting ready for what most expect now to happen? TDK goes to the Saints. He's been significantly down on form. I would have think that Pitnet probably stays.
If you are watching, I've just shuffled him into the must-trade category. What do you think about that?
I think we put him in the must-trade if Pitnet with the... Again, if you've got a full team, then you can take a 66 that might come out on the flex. But given the option, especially if you've got him in the ruck, given the options and the gap between given the points difference between he and some of the other options in the ruck, you're probably losing out.
All right, so let's go Chera as well. He's in that same category.
I think he's probably in the Shea Boltons.
trade if you can, or is he on thin ice? Would you?
Oh, on thin ice.
I think I like on thin ice for him because I pulled the trigger early because I was just wanting to get Errol in the squad, and I think I needed a bit more money to do that.
Yep.
So I probably wouldn't have minded holding Adam Chera. Like I don't think his role is going to change too
28
much.
touches against the Magpies on the weekends. A
Pretty
few
low
early
time on the
mistakes
ground, unfortunately.
by foot. Hurt him.
All right, Baz Lenker, that's just a hold,
Hold,
surely. People are trading him out, thinking maybe. I think there was that rumor. It was more of a rumor about a calf than more than anything that was going on social. So that's probably more to do with that. So you'd hold him.
If they did come out though, the sidetrack, and they said during the week that he will miss again, and it is more than an illness. But if it was just a 1 week thing, trip to Giant Stadium, NG Stadium, would you keep him?
I think I'm just keeping Baz.
Me too.
So highly owned.
Unless it was 2 or more from him.
You know what? If I was up the top though, if I was top, going for that top 100, going for that 50K, that's the type of move where if you can, as we said, there's only a few hundred points separating the top. If he does miss again and you have the chance to go to another player, especially if you can maybe swing someone else forward, you've got an extra forward in your midfield and you can get like a big dog in the midfield. I don't mind that. The forwards options, I don't know about that though.
Could trade him to the number 1 VC option this week, potentially too. Very soon.
LDU, so out concussion
Yes.
early. That's terrible for owners that would have had to have copped that, especially with Bailey Smith out as well. You might have copped what did he score, 16 or something on your field, even with the flex.
I think it's still he's had previous head knocks, but if he misses one, I think it's still a luxury trade to be trading a 1 week injury at this point.
A luxury trade.
If you've got 4 or 5, you would move him on.
And he's just worth nothing. Like he's just dropped so much money already.
What do you think?
Oh, it just depends, yeah. Like
1 week injury, 7 rounds to go.
We held Whitfield. Yeah, it's just LDU's just not looking like a top end mid either, but
put him in the middle then, on thin ice maybe.
Yeah, let's go on thin ice. I think owners would probably be happy to trade him if they've been dealing with this. Then they cop a 16. They're probably, if you've got trades, you probably want to get rid of him. Caleb Daniel, where are you at with him? You still own him, don't you?
No,
you got rid of him. Same.
I think he's still a luxury trade though, because he's come back.
Yeah, he's still.
And he's been okay. Colin McKercher was great again, had a lot of the ball, leading possession winner for North Melbourne. But Caleb Daniel still had 25 touches himself. So I think he's still getting enough footy back there. He showed with the scores in the previous month as well. So I think definitely a luxury trade at this point.
Okay.
If you've got 4 or 5, you might be able to get something better.
Yep.
But if you've got 2 or 3 or 1, then I think, you still could be okay for a 90, 1, 2, 3 point average from here.
Clary, must trade.
Spend a bit of time on Jordan Dawson on Sunday.
I just
Adelaide Oval.
can't put a midfield spot up for somebody doing this. Like, obviously, as we said, every time it's team dependent. It's how many trades you got. If you got 2 trades left, which, 2 to 3 trades probably pretty common at the moment.
23 touches, 3 free kicks against.
All right, trade if you can.
Trade if you can.
It's a bit of a, just jump into a bit.
Probably in between trades if you can or must trade.
He's so
You're
close
right.
to must
the
trade.
points differential.
From the midfield.
Put him in there. Come on, Chief.
All right, must trade. Stuff it. Dion Prestia. People jumped on the meatball.
Must trade.
Must trade.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm personally like, if you brought him in, just I don't know. Like the thing is, the difference between a Clary and a Dion is like anyone who brought Dion in has only had him for a month.
He scored 63 on the weekend.
Oh, must trade.
It's a bit like you and Sam Flanders. Just forget it.
Jye Caldwell. We're going to have to wait for the wait for the injury news.
If he's out 2 or more, must trade.
Yep.
If he's only going to miss 1 or he's just a test, then he eventually does miss 1 because he's a test, I think that's still a hold.
Right, is that on thin ice then?
Right in the middle.
Just for injury news. Just wait for injury news. Paddy Cripps, I don't even there must be enough people to own him that he's up there with the trade outs, but I think Chloe actually on the Wednesday show's an owner of Cripps.
Oh, I'm surprised.
Loves the Blues. Bit of a Carlton. Got the Nuffy alarm for the Carlton there.
25 touches of Patrick Cripps, 74 Supercoach points against the Magpies. It's just, as we know, not working.
All the Blues, no good.
At the Blues. What's the average this year? 93.6 for Paddy Cripps. Hasn't scored a Supercoach ton since round 11.
Oof.
That's trade if you can areas.
And Caleb Sarong
Yeah.
tagged
Little
to
Caleb.
shreds on the weekend. He's in
Not-
your squad.
Lucky he scored 20 at half time.
Lucky not to get the villain.
Hmm.
For you too. Bevo copying
Kicked the first goal of the second
strays
half.
there.
And had more of an impact in the second half.
Just can't
Walked through
handle
it a
the
bit.
tag at the moment. He just can't.
Still very much a luxury trade. You would not be trading unless you had 4, 5 or more and a premium team.
Yep.
And you're trading to someone on fire.
All right.
Nick Dacos, for instance.
So these are our final rankings. Must trade, Matt Roberts, TDK, Clayton Oliver, the meatball. Trade if you can, Shea Bolton, Patrick Cripps, on thin ice and very thin for some of these guys as well. Adam Chera, LDU, a bit thicker
Jye
ice.
Caldwell more
bit thicker
in
ice for Caldwell, I'd say, just injury dependent. He's definitely just a luxury trade or even a hold.
Unless we hear he's out for 2 or more with the ankle injury they're getting scans on.
Yep. Caleb Daniel and Caleb Sarong as our luxury trades, and our hold is Bailey Smith.
Absolutely.
But Bailey Smith is again ruled out for further time, and you are chasing that top 100, that top 10, that 50K.
Yep.
Could be your point of difference avenue to jumping ranks during this time if he's named out.
Yep.
Right, I'm pretty happy with that, Fance. I reckon that went
Oh, nice
all
little
right.
segment there from you, Chief.
Yeah, not too bad. Oh, does he? A bit of rage trades.
Now,
Your top targets, Fance.
yeah, bit of an off week last week. Had Tommy Spewitt, your man, in the top targets. Let us down a little bit. Had the Bont, though. The old doggo there, still life in that. But top targets this week, my number one VC option that I've been talking about already. Nick Martin from the Bombers, 532K. We know he destroyed the Tigers only 6 weeks ago at the MCG, 163 Supercoach points, 35 disposals that week. We know he can go as big as any. Yes, he scored 68 on the weekend, but only in 16.2% of teams. So we are looking at this stage of the year and the top targets this week for someone that can help you climb up the ranks. So Nick Martin, number one, good price, good opponent this week. A nice pod there. Errol Goulden, number two, only in not many teams. That will change after recording, given he's one of the most traded in players this week, but still on a 600K, break even in the 80s, 82, I believe it is. So get him now before he goes above 600K, and he's the high ceiling pod that can help kickstart the late run in your Supercoach season. Colby McKercher, number 3 from the Kangaroos. He fits into the value option still, 468K, 123 Supercoach points for him on the weekend. The role now, if you didn't believe after the second or third or the fourth week, now you know it's there. So good buying if you are short on cash and you want to sideways someone that's not working. Colby McKercher, 468K. Can't sideways this guy. Number 4, Brodie Grundy, 727K. If you've got some money, if you've got some trades,
Most expensive player in Supercoach right now.
it would be a big call to do it. Only some teams would be able to do it. But given what he's scoring, given how low owned he is, could really set you apart. Look at your leagues. Look at who's above you in the rankings. Check out his ownership percentage, whatever top 1, 5, 10, 20% you are in on Supercoach Plus to see how much it could set you apart.
Oh, he's still got us a great run to come as well. Brodie Grundy, what a pick.
Number 5. This one could ruffle a few feathers.
Oh,
Jason Horne-Francis, number 1. That's not number 5 on the trade-in targets this week. We're looking
The horny one.
for a bit of a point of difference option. People will jump off this week after what happened, but we know we can score. He's down to 25% owned. That could be lower, I reckon, by the time the round starts. Port playing the Eagles at home on Sunday. Now, I thought about putting, a Connor Rosie could fit in here as well. We know big against the Lions on the weekend. Could go big against the Eagles too, but 441K. He fits in to that value, that sideways bracket, the luxury trade, the trade if you can players that we put in last time. Jason Horne-Francis, 441K, if you're feeling a bit risky.
love it, Vance. Always good quality targs from the great man.
Mm-hmm.
We've got another new segment.
Another
We've got
segment.
a bunch of new segments. Tell us which ones you like, maybe which ones you don't like. We can cut a few out. But this one is one that I'm keen to see how it plays out.
Mm-hmm.
So again, don't have a sting yet for this bad boy. This one's called Quote Card King. Now,
you're pretty happy with this one. You're excited.
I'm pretty excited about this one. So as we know,
go on.
Yeah, as we know, social media just taken over the footy world. Every quote card, especially this is sort of inspiration from the Corn.
Yep.
The Corn, every quote card done by the Corn just blows up on socials. Everything with a hot take, just it's where the social media is born and bred. Yeah, bread and butter these days. We wanted to dip our toe in the water in the quote card space, fans, because there's not too many hot takes to be had in the Supercoach world. There's not a heap of hot takes. I mean, we bring some to the table at times.
Well,
but
you've had one this year. Pencil get him in on field.
had a couple.
Didn't even play.
Had a couple. Now, this is a segment intentionally to have a quote card ready to go. Now, you don't have to necessarily believe fully in it, but you have to at least back it a little bit. And then you're just going all in on the take, okay? So it's a sort of an inside joke for our Lair listeners. When you see this quote card on the socials, you'll know this is the quote. This is for the quote card king. All right, but those that don't know, just it's if you know type stuff.
Yep.
Vance, what have you got? Now we're going to go head to head. So this week you get your crack at the quote. Next week it's me, and then we see who gets the most engagements on.
Do you get bonus points for being close to being right? Because I've got one.
Okay,
that could be right this week.
Okay, I'll get a sting next week. Quote card king, step up, and I'll be making a social card for this week. Let's go.
Yep. Nick Martin will break the AFL VFL disposal record this weekend against the Tigers at the G. 54, he'll get that. Ooh.
All right,
and I'm doubling down on my VC, number one VC option. I reckon he will run right. We know might not be a 200-point Supercoach score. We know he gets a lot of uncontested footy, which Bailey Dale did. His scoring was a bit lower when he had 49 at Marvel earlier in the year, but that's it. Quote it up, watch it happen, VC, enjoy it.
Huge. All right. I think that's plenty to work with there. Mm-hmm. And you're actually pretty confident. I think this isn't even a hot take. This is your actual genuine take as well.
54 is a lot. 54 is a lot.
Strutting around.
Tom Mitchell holds the record.
Yep.
Big names in there.
All right. So keep an eye out.
54.
Keep an eye out for the quote card. Can Phantom be the quote card king? Can he get in the mainstream with that bad
You're
boy?
up next week.
All right. Now, the last little quick segment before we get to the People's Pan, we've been teasing it out a little bit. I'm going to do a speed run of rookies.
On the bubble.
Well, you better be quick because it suits this week.
It's a speed run, so we're going on the bubble. Joe Shanahan, 113k, negative 83 break-even, score of 94 on the weekend. Will Dawson, 143k, negative 30 break-even, scored 64 on the weekend, but clamped Sam Darcy for 3 quarters. Looks good. Chloe from the Wednesday show reckons Lucas Camporelli might be back in the mix at the Blues. She was rewatching some VFL tape, apparently. So
where's
enough
alarm
there. And then Ryan Angwin, I'm just going to skip past him. Too expensive, 242k, negative 22 break even. And then just keep an eye out for some of these guys' first games on the weekend. George Stevens was elite on debut for the Cats, 90. Cooper Harvey looked good in his first game for the year with 74.
George Stevens on ball was good for the Cats.
Looked pretty good. That was the speed run, fans.
I
From the bubble.
It's really, I can hear you. Your normal voice over there.
It was hard for me listening to my own normal voice. All right, I think that speed run is the way to go because, look, you can downgrade to rookies at this time of year, but if you need the cash, just throw away the position if you need to.
Yep.
Chuck some DPP on the bench, get your mid defender, a mid forward. Doesn't matter if they're playing or not at this point in the year, so long as you've got those players on the field scoring for you. Time Vance, we've been waiting.
Pan. You heard my fry pan before.
Yep.
Chris Scott. Dean Cox, coaches are in there. But this is the People's Pan. We made a call out last week for your nominations. Now, we wanted some video.
Yep.
We need some video. We got a lot of nominations. Next time we need some clips. We need your rant on video. We want to play it, so get involved next week. Who's in your bad books from Supercoach? Who's ticked you off in Supercoach? Let us know what happens over the weekend coming. But we've got a few nominations anyway this week. DV says, mine was Shea Bolton celebrating his 150th game a little too hard and forgetting how to actually play.
Yeah, like I said, started slow, under 20 in the first half. At least he came back a little bit, but still, unders from what you would have wanted there.
Clayton has put Justin Longmuir in the pan. Says round 16, Erasmus played 72% time on ground. Uplift, they won. On the weekend, Erasmus was back to 59%. They lost. And so did Clayton in Supercoach because of it.
Oh, no.
Fair enough. Now,
rolling with Erasmus, he might need a bust out a trade then this week, I think.
Yep. Chili D says, put Bevo's magnets in the pan, and if it's big enough, chuck Bevo in there too.
I think it is big enough. You've already popped him in there. Just scrolling through some more there. Thanks.
Max Gorn.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Ooh. In the pan
as well. Yep.
Or J-Rod.
J-Rod. Like that one. The pan. A big walk this week, the people's pan.
It is. Dean Cox in the pan. From Spencer. Double tag.
Oh.
Ran the double tag. Is crazy, as Spencer said.
Yep.
I don't mind that one. Dean Cox.
Okay.
A few more. We did get a few. I'm just going through them. Jordan Clark in the pan. Never again list from
Never again
Josh.
list. He's been awesome all year. That's a bit stiff for Jordan Clark. He's got tagged. Matt
Fitzgerald has put himself in the pan.
Oh.
For dumping Max Hall from St Kilda 2 weeks ago. 144.
Tough.
The horny one got a JHF can piss off from Brad.
Oh, no.
No, we accept anything here. And the last few, Clayton was also the one at the top of the show that threw in the can we throw the word primo in the pan and use keeper instead. And Bretto, there's Michael Voss. Tom De Koning as a non-goal scoring forward.
Yeah.
Why?
Yep. Fair enough. I mean, my trades last week were fading. I said I'm fading Voss. I'm fading Michael Voss, which is fair enough. Trading Chera and TDK, just no faith in where that club is at the moment, which is a shame because last year was very impressive on all fronts. So, yeah, a bit of a shame there, fans.
But with other people's pan, we thank you for your nominations again, though. Video. Film yourself with this Supercoach rant for the week. Try to play the best ones on the show, but of course, just get them in. Who's in the bad books? Plenty in the big walk style phantoms.
Now, I'm part of the people as well. And I got a nomination for the pan this week. Now, if you were unlucky enough, like me, to accidentally forget to turn off your TV after the final game of the round this week, and Bounce comes on.
Oh,
okay. So if you accidentally, like me, had it running in the background,
you're
fans.
an avid watcher.
Oh, I'm far from.
What'd they do? Gazy?
Happened to notice. So we knew that they already copied our gherkin drinking segment, Pickle Juice, earlier in the year.
Yep.
Just flat out copied a couple of weeks after we did it. Then Channel 7, I think Bear must have passed on the word there. They copied it as well.
Classic Bear.
But this week, encroaching on copyright material.
Do we have to get the lawyers involved?
I think we might have to after I heard this from Dicko.
Fighting on motorbikes.
Pew, 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 pew. Like Star Wars. Pew, 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 pew. Trying
Is that
to
your
take
sting?
over.
Is that your sting?
That is what they're trying to take over our. What's going on?
Pew, pew. Why don't we? That should be our new sting.
Well, I've actually got a little bit of a shorter version because it does lead in nicely. They're in the pan. The bounce is in the pan. Works on TV. And
you've been lining up. You've just been waiting for something. You watch it every week just so you can use something.
Anyway, this is the pew pew for the week as well. Our shooting from the hip. Pew, 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 pew. Pew, 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 pew.
It's actually good. That's better than your sting.
It's not bad, actually. All right, I've got my point of difference before we wrap this up. Miles Bergman this week. 473K defender mid.
Has the 5 names already said Miles Bergman?
I don't know. If he has, now's the time though. So he's been tunning up left, right and centre. Had a pretty low disposal game on the weekend, still tunned up. He was in my trade plans last week, as you know, before I went the Flanders route. I just think Bergman's coming to his own, whether it's midfield, whether it's defence. He's tunning up week on week, and he's been one of the higher performing defenders in his last 5 games, despite he dropped some under a ton, some over a ton. The only game in his last 5, though, where he did go sub-ton was when he injured his shoulder. the next week backed it up with a ton again. So, yeah, Miles Bergman for me.
And also,
very impressive.
Yes, scored a SuperCoach 10, only had 17 touches, but had to go back behind the ball when Port had all those early injuries.
Yep.
As well.
So as opposed to some of the other players that are in the targets that are a bit more expensive, if you really are low on cash and you don't have much manoeuvrability, for 70K, you can do something with that. So Miles Bergman this week is the...
Like it. VC and C, Chief. Or trades. Are you doing anything? You bagged me last week.
Yep.
You saying, why would I trade?
Yep.
You went and traded.
Yep.
Are you done? Any moves this week?
Might pull the trigger.
Oh, no.
I'm down to 3 now.
Nick Martin.
So pulled 2
You
last
want to be
week.
involved in the record-breaking Saturday night at the G?
Don't have Nick Martin. Look, I'm just considering it. I mean, Jye Caldwell, I'm a Jye Caldwell owner. If we hear that he's out, I'm just going to have to trade. Look, I've got 3 trades. If he's out beyond sort of the 1, really, I'm looking to pull the trigger there. Outside of that, I have looked at a little bit of a trade. I do worry about Doherty. We mentioned I got him as DPP. I've got that mid defender swing now, but I am a little worried about what's going on at Carlton. Is he the first guy that, when they swing the axe, dock back to the VFL to rack up another 50 disposals? I might swing the axe on Doc myself though before that happens. So yeah, I don't know. I'm considering maybe using 1, maybe 2 trades because I do.
2?
Maybe just 1. I have 106K in the bank, so it's very, very tempting to go up to another pod premium.
Pod.
Mm-hmm. What about
B, C, and C?
What about
No
you?
trades for
No
me.
trades unless injuries hit.
Lockie Whitfield back in this week.
Yep.
Bailey Smith back in this week.
Yep.
Tom McCarthy to the bench. Tom McCarthy will become 24.
Mhm.
So some loopholing there. Backing in the boys, as they like to say.
In terms of VCC, I do like that Port matchup just all around, whether it's a Rosie,
Final game Sunday.
whether it's a Butters, C then, whether it's a Butters or Horn Francis. So, I mean, I think I'd be more comfortable with a Rosie or Butters there. It's down to, the earlier games for the VC. So you've locked away Nick Martin. Is there any other
VC,
suggestions?
Nick Martin Saturday night. Zach Butters, C, Sunday. That's it.
Yeah. I mean,
No
if you
more
had a merit
suggestions?
as well,
That is the biggest VCC lock of the year.
I reckon I don't mind a merit if you're a merit owner as well.
I'm a merit owner too. Yep, don't mind it. Also, Nick Dacos in the form
Oh, Gold
he
Coast.
is in
Oh,
against the Suns Friday night.
People's first. Yeah, that might be my VC.
Lockie Neal too, VC against the Blues at Marvel on Thursday night as well.
Yeah, I've got a couple of. I mean, I could just do it all Sunday affair for me. I could go Errol Goulden VC into a C on the Port game, but it might be tough to get that loophole sorted for that. So, yeah, I think honestly it's going to come. I'm just happy. I feel like I'm happy going like a Butters. So unless I get something massive from my VC, I'll probably take a swing on the VC, go a bit of a pod, and then come home with a Butters or Rosie. I think you're going to be safe there.
Should we see what 5 names is doing? See if he give us a VC option. See
All
what
right.
he's doing over in Europe. He's in Spain
Yep.
or London.
Yep.
We think it's probably close to 6 a.m. over there.
Yeah.
We haven't spoken to him for
No.
48 hours.
Let's give him a ring, and then if he doesn't answer, that's the end of the show. Rise and shine. Come on, Sim.
Doesn't like an early morning.
Nah.
That's when he's working too.
I think no luck.
5 names.
No luck.
Get him down. Wait, no, wait. Code Sports YouTube channel as well for the picture of 5 names.
Yep.
If you were watching there, but that about wraps it up, I think,
Yep.
Chief.
Let's wrap her up.
Big week. We'll have to try again. We will try every week. We're not going to alert him. We just want him cold call. We want him to pick up when he's out, stumbling home for a night out. God knows where he is over there in Europe. But 5 names, top of the pod. So well done to him on his holiday. Taught us a lesson. Big week coming up in SuperCoach. Plenty of news to look out for the next couple of days. BWAP have us covered for all the latest on those injuries, which could dictate the round 18 trade plans.
Let us know in the comments your trade plans, what segments you liked and didn't like, and what you want to see next week. Keep an eye out for the Quote Card King.
Oof. And keep
This
an eye on
week.
Nick Martin on Saturday night.
right.
See you on the other side.
See you next week.